And welcome back to more The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. So last time we got through the Color Dungeon and got the Blue Mail, giving us double defense, and this time we're officially diving into the Angler's Tunnel Dungeon, which is our fourth dungeon, and is our obligatory water-themed dungeon. Now, I feel like water dungeons in the series are infamous for being really hard and confusing, but this one isn't too horrible. I mean, it's the third, or the fourth Zelda game, so they didn't really ramp up the difficulty too much for these. So there's the compass, and down here, immediately the compass goes to get some use from the fact that there's a key in this room. But yeah, no shifting water levels or any of that nonsense, so this should be, and I repeat, should be a fairly simple run-through. That being said, I do tend to get really lost in this dungeon because there's a lot of keys that are easy to forget about. At least for me, I tend to forget certain keys, so we'll do our best to make this as quick and efficient as possible. So we have bombs over there if we need a refill. We don't at the moment. I kind of stocked up more than I needed to. You really don't use bombs very much in this game. There's the stone beak. Hopefully, we won't need to use the owl statue. So over here, we should have... I think this is a key. That's the dungeon map. Cool. And now with the Rock's Feather and Pegasus Boots, we can make that jump pretty easily. Again, there's a reason I always keep the Rock's Feather equipped. And having the Pegasus Boots equipped at all times is wonderful. These little flying enemies, I don't know what their names are. They are in a bunch of Zelda games. They're like in the original, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they're comparable to whatever the flying enemies are in Hyrule Field in Ocarina of Time, and also I think in Termina in Majora's Mask. I think they're in Termina Field. I actually don't remember. I feel like you don't spend much time in Termina Field compared to Hyrule Field. Whether it's for side questing or main story progress, Termina Field is just really small by comparison. Which I think is part of the reason I like Majora's Mask better, is it feels like a very concise game. I paused the game to go to the map, and I knew the enemy was gonna hit me right as soon as I unpaused. We have two keys. So where do we go from here? I think we need to go through that block in this room, so we need to go somewhere. So we need to go back to the entrance, I think. Again, I do find these dungeons ramp up at a pretty good pace. Like, this does feel a lot more confusing and difficult to navigate compared to the last three dungeons, which is good. You want them to get a little bit more difficult every time. I feel like the game does have a little bit of a difficulty spike near the end, so that'll be fun to go through. Weirdly enough, the next dungeon is the one I'm probably most concerned about. 5 and 7 are the two I'm most concerned about because, quite frankly, I feel like 5 is the one I'm most, unsure about because I didn't spend much time in that dungeon. I kind of breezed through it. So I'm afraid I'm gonna forget something when I finally get to it in this playthrough. Likewise, 7 is just a pain. 7 is just always awful. And being my third playthrough technically, counting the original, I'm not really confident of getting through that dungeon without tons of problems. So yeah, I do this thing where if I'm stuck on something for a really long time, I tend to remember it forever. So the 8th dungeon is actually a good example where I was stuck on it for so long, I'm probably not going to spend as much time on it this time because I know the trick to it. So it shouldn't take very long, hopefully. Again, this is all wishful thinking, I admit. There's the boss room. But now we have to figure out how to get to the boss room. So there's these little light up panels, we can't do anything with them quite yet because we can't swim. Small key, yeah, we can't do anything there for now. So with the small key, we can go through that door in the upper middle part of the map. I feel like I'm looking at the map more, which again is a sign of how things have kind of ramped up a bit. The previous dungeons, I kind of did not use the map as much. Yeah, we're using it a bit more now. There is a key in this room, but we can't get it yet. So I'm gonna leave those enemies alone. So here's an interesting mini-boss. So you just jump over and attack its back. That's literally all there is to this boss. It's kind of like... It reminds me of the Ocarina of Time mini-boss on Jabu Jabu's belly, except this is way easier. I wouldn't be surprised if this was the inspiration for that boss. Again, like with the Ocarina technically making its debut here, I should clarify that I'm pretty sure Link to the Past technically had an ocarina, but it was a flute in that game, I'm pretty sure. Like, in terms of official naming. Here we have a little puzzle where we have to outrun the timer on the pull rope on the side. So this should be our dungeon item. You got the flippers. Dive underwater with B or press A to swim quickly. Nice, so we don't drown anymore. So these little lights tell us which panels we need to step on in which order. This is kind of a neat way to teach you a puzzle. I'm not sure if it's like randomized every time you play this game. That'd be really cool if that's the case. Because otherwise you could really easily cheese this room as well. If I'm not mistaken, I hope I remember something that happened like less than a minute ago. This puzzle should be the same as in the other room. That gives us this staircase. This should go to the lower left area. Ow! I thought I was charging. My bad. So we can jump over here, get across, and then make our way over to this area. Gee, I wonder what's in here. You got the nightmare key, so now we can get to the boss. Problem, how do we get to the boss? We have... looks like 2 chests remaining. And we're missing a key. And, from past experience, neither chest has the key. So... to actually get the, key, we need to do a bit of a roundabout journey to get to it. It's over here, I'm pretty sure. That should be where the boss is, but we can't get there because of the, locked, block there. I'm not sure if those have a more technical name than, you know, block with a lock on it. When we defeat those, the key drops down. This is why I didn't do this earlier. This has tripped me up in the past, where I defeated the enemies, the key dropped, but I didn't have the flippers, so I didn't remember to go get the key after getting the flippers. So that's why I decided to wait on that, so the chime would be there in the top room instead of in this room. Waiting for this platform. I should mention that I do like this blue tunic. Again, other than just liking the color blue, it's largely a factor of being promised a sword upgrade from the Shell Mansion, just to reiterate. Okay, that sucked. At least it gave it to me. At least it didn't make me jump over again. So that was nice of the game to do that. These enemies make me think of Cadence of Hyrule, because they're a lot more annoying in that game. Their patterns feel very unpredictable, and I'm not a fan. Cadence of Hyrule is actually a really good game. I've thought about Let's Playing it, but Let's Playing music games sounds daunting, because trying to commentate can be difficult enough when not also trying to play a rhythm game. So that's why I have not done anything with Cadence of Hyrule, as much as I really enjoy that game immensely. Maybe someday. This game is also very last minute, because I wasn't really sure what to Let's Play next. So I just kind of on a whim was like, hey, Link's Awakening, and I'm actually really glad I went with that, because I'm really enjoying this playthrough. So these are Cheep Cheeps, continuing the theming of Mario enemies. This is perfect, actually, because we're coming up on the boss. If we can keep this piece of power for the boss, we're gonna have a really easy time. I'm kinda gonna rush past these enemies, because I wanna hopefully get to the boss with the piece of power. So we can completely trivialize this. Ploop bloop glub glub og food bloop glub. Not the best reading of that, I admit, but this is the anglerfish. He swims back and forth and knocks debris down when he crashes into the wall. Like that. In the original game, I seem to recall that he didn't really charge a whole lot, so the boss was even easier than this, which is already pretty easy. The piece of power was really awkward, because it's like, this really nothing boss was somehow made even more trivial because we had the piece of power going into it. And again, if you thought that looked kind of easy, it's even easier in the original, because I'm pretty sure the charging attack is done a lot less frequently. So we're on our second row of hearts now, so that's a good feeling. I always like when you get to the second row of your hearts, either in this game or Metroid or any game with this kind of system. In any case, our fourth instrument. You got the Surf Harp. Bay. Your road goes into the bay. And that is our fourth dungeon completed. Really quickly, we actually have a secret area now that we can actually swim. So over here we have a new character. I am Monbo, child of the sunfish. Have you got an ocarina? Ahaha, then I can teach you my song. Bloop. You've learned Monbo's Mambo. When you get out of the water, play it. When you play my Mambo, you can warp to a warp point around the island. Try this tune in dungeons too. And since today's a special day, I'll let you warp to Mambo's Pond too. Cha-cha-cha! So this lets us warp at any time. We don't have to hunt down a warp point. So that's really nice. Let's explore this side too. Why not? It's nice being able to swim. This game doesn't have nearly as much water compared to not Ocarina, Link to the Past. But there's still a decent amount of swimming. Right here we have another piece of heart. Not bad. And there's a lot of back and forth here. We have another thing to get towards the other side. So yeah, we can warp anywhere. I feel like this is a well-paced adventure. Like, we're getting to a point where the world is getting kind of big. So not having to hunt down a warp point, is actually really well timed. So we can drop down here. I can see a seashell down here. There we go, a secret seashell. I'm pretty sure you can turn off the radar too. Yeah, you can actually turn it off if you would rather find things on your own. There's another secret though. Well, first of all, we have a little ghost friend accompanying us now, so that's new. If you haven't figured it out already by the pattern, we got a lot of side quests, because of course we do. Another piece of heart. And, yep, we're gonna be accompanied by a ghost for a little bit. And by a little bit, I'm pretty sure not that long. Now there's the question of how do I get out of the water? I would really like to be able to warp now, so I wouldn't have to swim all the way around the castle, but oh well. The house, take me. The house at the bay. Well, that's a good hint. Don't even need an owl for this one. I feel like also for a Let's Play, this game is really well paced. Like, it feels like within a decent, like a 15 to 20 minute time slot, we're making pretty solid progress. Consistently, so that's also a really good feeling. So we're outside the castle now. So we need to make our way to the bay. So I'm trying to remember if we have a warp there. I know we have a warp to Animal Village, but is that close to the bay? Yeah, it should be around here somewhere. So let's warp. Alright. Now, I think we're actually gonna call it here for now. Next time, we're gonna return the ghost to, his home. Gee, I wonder if it's that house conveniently blurred out in the corner. But in any case, thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time for more The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening.